All right, let me answer the most common question that people want to know. Can you just skip a values level? No. You cannot jump over one values level, as much as Mario Kart might help you achieve it. Yeah. Because it has to do with the two hemispheres of the brain. And that's the point. Right brain, left brain. So we start with values level 1, expressive left brain. Values level 2, right brain. 3, left. 4, right, etc. So on and so forth until we keep flip-flopping until and including 6. From values level 7, if you think of it this way, we operate more of the frontal part of the cortex in front of that corpus callosum. Corpus callosum is the division between the two hemispheres of the brain, and the frontal part is in front of all that. So I know that mainstream neurology want to tell you that there's no communication between the two sides of the brain, and that's completely incorrect. There are people who have damaged one side of the brain, and then the other side has taken on some of the functions. So normally they keep flip-flopping, and there's a purpose for that, because finally, once they reach values level 6, they've acquired the ability for the two sides of the brain to work together, which in our NLP jargon is the communication between the logical, rational mind directing the body intelligence. So the awareness and the ability to not just be taken over by the emotions or by more giving, and it, as in the sacrificial values levels, versus over me, take it. In general, giving is for sacrificial and getting is for expressive. So we cannot jump a level because the financial success is the result of the concerns, i.e. the needs of being super materialistic, and that gives the individual the capacity to develop strategies to deal with material success no matter what. So the financial success is a result of that, because there are young kids that have been born into very, very rich families, and that doesn't mean that they have completed 5 themselves. It doesn't mean they've acquired the skills, the strategies, the neurology capable of scientific materialism. You have to go through that in order to come out the other end. So material success is a result of those strategies. Can you still hear okay, Lisa?
I can. I'm catching bits, and then when it catches up with itself, I get you at like twice the speed, and then so I'm hearing it, but I'm getting like normal, and then really quickly, and then normal, and then really quickly. But I'm hearing it, so it's okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Fast Kim. Oh God. So it's not like, okay, I've got $1 million, therefore I did values 5. No, it doesn't work that way. It's I can make lots of money, no matter where I am, because I've got the skills. And what are those skills? Yep, sales, marketing, those horrible things that all the 4s and the 6 inside 4s hate. So unfortunately, in order to come out the other end at 6, once you have acquired these and are comfortable, and once it's just part of life, because the truth is everybody needs money. So the same question appears for anyone who is doing 5 and they don't want to do 6. Can't I just jump to 7 and not do 6? No. Because we have to balance and grow the neurology and expand the complexity of thinking. And it's expanded by areas of the brain and the neurology of the body. So it's all connected. In the process of learning how to create material success, you're expanding your neurology by expanding your strategies by learning new stuff. Pleasant or not pleasant, like it or don't like it. It's the reality. Now, that is the point. Not how much money you have. Money is a result of that. comfortable life is a result of that. It's not the amount of money. It just means you know you can get money and you don't need to depend on anybody. You don't need a pension plan. You don't have to rely on government support. You don't need anything. And you know that if somebody took you right as you are right now, without any documents, and put you anywhere in the world, without the help of anybody else, then you can make money. Without the help of anybody else, you've got the skills and you can invest in something or invent something or put it out on the market. A skill, something that people will buy from you. You know you've got the strategies and that set of skills. Money is simply the result. It's not the purpose. It's the result of all the knowledge and the skills that you get once you go through 5. So it's not only sales. Sales is a big part of it. But do you have any interest in reading about the reports on the stock market? Do you have any interest of knowing what's going on in other countries? And there is absolutely no criticism, no right or wrong. So no need to pigeonhole yourself, because values levels are not about that. In fact, during that exercise, it becomes very interesting which keywords you picked, because often that's what your unconscious mind needs to pay most attention to. Everything is just feedback from you. What is my unconscious mind signaling to me right now? It will help increase your awareness in consciousness about yourself. So individuals will never know until you ask them, why are you doing what you're doing? Or why is this important to you? And that is the only way you'll figure out what their main thinking and where their main thinking is stationed. And we have such a variety of communities, so it's hard to say who is at what level until you ask them. You know, most of the bulk of society has been, for at least 3,500 years until about 600 years ago, dutifully in values level 4. Everyone was solid 4. Now that doesn't happen anymore because we had 5 coming in with the industrialized revolution. And then if you want to put it in historical perspective, this is not just an interesting intellectual exercise when I told you that the agricultural revolution with values level 3, the industrial revolution values level 4 pushing into 5, and now it's 6, 7 with the information era, because that will tell you that the gas and oil company is doomed. The old bricks and mortar factories and whatever we used to have is not going to happen anymore. And you see that already slowly disappearing. Everything will move online, and we are into the information era. It started about 60 years or 70 years ago, and we're moving into that. So you need to keep that in mind. Now, I know we're used to thinking a certain way, but now you're learning something else. So if you're aware of your own thinking, you can speed up your own progress. Now, you can't traverse values levels even with timeline therapy because your neurology cannot just develop overnight. It's the environment in which you live which is allowing you to do this or do that, because if the environment doesn't belong, I don't care how expanded your neurology is, you won't be able to actualize because you're trying to do this, but you'll have the walls around you. So if you imagine living in an environment where the income tax rate is 50%, 60%, 70%, imagine working for 7 months of the year just to pay tax. Now, if you could imagine they were 20%, how different would life be? Imagine that the rates you pay for your rent or your mortgage or whatever that is halves. Do you think your life would be different and you could actualize different values levels? Of course, because your concerns will be different. Just like what happened when all the mortgage rates went up through the moon. People actualize different things. So you cannot really focus on expansive physics, quantum thinking, and all that stuff when you can barely pay your mortgage and you only just make it from month to month, depending on the benevolence of the government. And that's because it's all a different concern. The environment forces us to act in a certain way because it impinges on the neurology. You cannot act in a way which the environment doesn't allow you to act. If you focus only on the coffee in the cup, you're missing the other elements, which are more important than the coffee itself, the environment and the neurology, the cup itself, because both of them are the most important thing. It's more complex than just the words themselves. All right. So you and anybody else are not equals. The words that you gave when you took the test are in a certain context. The words that you gave when you were in the exercise are good for you. So we can make an educated guess, especially how you might react in stress. And we'll see that as accepted and rejected values levels when we analyze the tests. All of that will transpire even more when you take a personal history from somebody in the context of a breakthrough session. Then you see keywords, and that will tell you about their problems. You'll look at keywords again. And if the person has a lot of should, could, must, and you can hear that they have structure, rules, timetables, regulations, then you can identify this person talks a lot about for. It's not the person, just their talk. So if we return to 6 for just a moment, remembering they are sacrificial now for acceptance now and a part of a small selected group of people. They are very expansive in thinking. They know everything. The point B is gone on the universal model of change. The point C is elucidated, meaning they know exactly where the problems come from. It's beyond their personal life. Their personal lives are affected by the bigger picture of what's going on at the planetary level. Now, some people don't even understand that we live in a globalization, meaning that countries itself have a more symbolic role. But in terms of trade and economics, especially trade of goods, we are in a globalization and have been for the past 20 years. Why? Because the industrialized world in the transition to the information era has taken all the production of goods and put it in either China, India, South America, Mexico, or Brazil, or a few countries in Asia. Could be Malaysia and Indonesia as well. It's a lot of export in terms of production of goods for those countries. And for most of us, and in the rest of the world, yes, a broad generalization, we have become service economies. We don't produce so much in our countries anymore. We import. So if you look carefully, there's a lot of stuff that comes from overseas, depending on which country specifically, but all of that is an example of trade and globalization.